I'm Jeremy Wance, the Associate Director of the American Organ Institute here at the University of Oklahoma School of Music. You're about to see a film of the Möller Master Roll Perforator in action. This is part of a special collection we have here at the University of Oklahoma. It's a collection that preserves part of our American musical heritage, and it's been honored and recognized by grants from the Grammy Foundation and the Oklahoma History Society. So, what is a master roll, and what is a Möller master roll? Most people are familiar with player pianos, for example, which are operated via a paper roll. In the first half of the 1900s, mechanical music was a very big business, not in America, but around the world. This was before the advent of hi-fi recordings and other ways of producing music for background or for entertainment. Most of the organ companies in America, and indeed in Europe, had some sort of system by which their instruments could be played automatically with a paper roll very much like the pianos, but on a much more sophisticated level. The Möller Company, being the largest organ manufacturer in the world, was no exception. They developed their own system by which players could be connected to their instruments and played via paper rolls. Several years ago, we were fortunate enough to rescue the entire collection of Möller master rolls and the perforation machine that produced the daughter rolls from a barn in northern Michigan. They now reside here at the University of Oklahoma in our collection, where we are preserving them for the future. Role players went into private residences, churches, theaters, ballrooms, many different applications. Music for the rolls was arranged very often by hand by people who understood the system, or it could be played into the system from an organ console within the Möller shop. In the end, production took place on a very large paper roll from which copies were made that were then sent to individual customers. We call these source recordings master rolls. They are made of heavy bonded paper, and we have nearly 700 rolls of more than 500 titles. This records our American musical heritage in basically the earliest digital form.
This machine in front of me is the Möller Artiste Organ Roll Player Perforating Machine. And it's on this machine that master rolls like this were read and perforated onto small, narrow production rolls. And in this machine you see behind we have 8 copies of paper coming through the machine where it is punched and pulled through the other side, producing 8 copies at once. As the machine steps forward, you'll see that the master roll is much larger than the production roll. The resolution of the master roll is approximately 2.5 to 1 for width and approximately 6 to 1 for length. So it is considerably reduced, producing a very high resolution recording, all punched out in paper. As the machine steps forward, there are pins that feel at the bottom of the master roll where there's a hole, and whenever it feels a hole, it advances a lateral device called an interposer, which keys a punch to punch for that particular step. And as the machine runs, the master roll steps forward a large step, and the production roll steps forward a small step for the resolution. This particular machine was introduced in the very late 1920s and only ran realistic production till the mid-30s because of the Depression and changing tastes in radio and audio recordings getting better. but automatic roll perforating devices go way back into the 1800s and were applied to pipe organs in the very early 1900s. The very first device to use a perforated paper medium like this to do some work was used by the Jacquard Company in France to run looms to weave material, to weave fabric patterns. And it was then transferred to other devices, but particularly automatic musical instruments. The Möller Company got into this particular market very late in the game, bringing this particular product to market in about 1927. One of those that's tight. That's this guy on this side. There, somewhere there. This is the only example of an organ roll perforating machine left in existence that has all of the master rolls to produce the approximately 500 titles that Möller had in their library. This is the only one. And here at the American Organ Institute, it has been restored to operate as original, and we are further adding an interface to it so that we can read these rolls, which are very delicate and very fragile. We'll be able to read them optically and then be able to operate the perforator ultimately from an electronic interface to continue to make the paper rolls, but not to have to reuse these very delicate master rolls. Although the machine will always be capable of doing that if there is ever a desire to do so. The rolls that we're working on right now are in particularly good condition, which allows us to actually run them through the machine one more time. Master roll here feeding into the machine. There are pins that come up through the holes to feel where the holes in the master roll are, and then it passes through and it's taken up on this spool. Paper feeds in, 8 copies here. Let's go down the ladder now. Paper is trimmed to exact width just before it goes through the punch head. These are the pins that go up with each cycle to feel if there's a hole, and if there is a hole, that pin will be allowed to go through, which releases this lateral horizontal piece called an interposer and allows it to go straight ahead. And when it does that, swinging around to the other side, this interposer will come forward, blocking the punch. And as the punch raises up, those that are not blocked will not punch, and those that are blocked will be held stationary, and the paper will be punched as the die comes up from below it. And then as it comes down, the paper is advanced 1 notch, the master roll is advanced 1 notch. It feels for any extra hole, any new holes. Just like there, we've got 2 holes that are going to be punched. And you'll see that those punches are now stopped as the others come up around them. And those 2 punches then punch the paper, which you'll see down here. You can see that it's going through the paper. It comes down, the interposers are withdrawn. The paper is drawn forward 1 notch, the master roll forward 1 notch, and we have 1 interposer out here to stop that punch, which then allows that 1 single hole to be punched. And this goes forward with each revolution of the machine. We run approximately 4 punches per second maximum speed. Originally, it punched 8 punches per second, but we don't want to run the machine that quickly. It's very old and has some rather fragile parts in it. This device here grabs the paper with rubber pads and pulls the stack of paper through 1 notch. It's a very small increment, as you will see it right there. Very tiny increment for each step. So the final resolution of the production rolls is quite high compared to the master roll.
project involves individuals from America, Switzerland, France, and many other places. It is funded in part by a grant from the Grammy Foundation and from private donations. In the coming years, watch for more opportunities to see and hear roles played right here on our role player at the University of Oklahoma. If you'd like to learn more, visit our website at aoi.ou.edu. There you can learn about the project, listen to roles, and even contribute to the project.
We're now in Sharp Hall at Catlett Music Center at the University of Oklahoma, and in front of us, this is the Möller Artiste role player. Möller made these in the 20s and 30s, and I have a selection ready to play. This is the Spinning Song of Mendelssohn, title number 353, in the Möller Artiste library, and this is a roll that was cut in the organ shop at the AOI.